Здравствуйте, уважаемые гости, уважаемые коллеги. Мы рады приветствовать вас в Высшей школе экономики и бизнеса. Сегодня по такому хорошему мероприятию, воркшопу, который будет проводить Международный финансовый центр города Астана по исламским финансам. Разрешите предоставить слово проректору по научно-инновационной деятельности Казахского национального университета имени Аль-Фараби профессору Рамазану Тликабулу Сабитовичу.
Рахмет. Ассаламу алейкум. Рахметуллахи баракату. Құрметті кіріп отырыңыздар жайғасып. Ана жерде біздің мұғалімдер де жүр екен. Бүгін енді біз маңызды құрметті мына қатысушылар, құрметті қонақтар, іс-шараға жиналып отырмыз. Білесіздер, осыдан бір ай бұрын біздің университет мына халықаралық Астана қаржы орталығымен және Қатардың Бин Халифа университетімен бірігіп, білесіздер, ана келісім шартқа қол қойған. Сол келісім шарттың негізінде біз мінекей осындай шараларды ұйымдастырып жатырмыз. Мына бірінші шарамыз, соған бәріңіз де қош келдіңіздер. Мына біздің бір өте белгілі сарапшылар жиналған екен. Сондықтан да университет әрқашанда сіздерге ашық. Тағы да мына біздің университетіміздің ректорының атынан, академик Ғалымқайыр Матамұлының атынан сіздерге бәріңізге қош келдім айтам. Dear colleagues, dear guests, participants, first of all, I would like, on behalf of our university, on behalf of our rector, academician Ғалым Бұтанов, I would like to say welcome all of you to coming to attending this important meeting. As you know, 1 month ago, we have signed an agreement, memorandum of understanding between our university and Astana International Finance Center and Bin Khalif University.
Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. I hope it's not too early for everyone, and you've had your coffees and teas. I'd like to thank the organizers of this roundtable and this get-together. I'd like to thank especially the hosts, Al-Farabi University, as well. I am here on behalf of the Astana International Financial Center, which is a key partner, a tripartite partner of this new Center for Islamic Finance. You heard from the Vice Rector that the Al-Farabi University has set up something which is landmark in this country, and not many institutions can boast having a Center for Islamic Finance. This is a great project, a great venture, and the three-way partnership between the Hamad bin Khalifa University of Qatar, Al-Farabi University, and the Astana International Financial Center Bureau for Continuing Professional Development. This three-way partnership, I think it's very beneficial and will provide different strategic value to the Center for Islamic Finance. Hamad bin Khalifa University is known in Qatar and in the Gulf, Middle East for its excellence in Islamic finance research, right through to the postgraduate doctoral level. Al-Farabi University speaks for itself. It's one of the oldest universities, one of the biggest universities, and I think the name Al-Farabi as well, being an Islamic name, is quite poignant that Islamic Finance Center was set up here. And obviously the Center for Islamic Finance's third partner is the AIFC Bureau. I am sure you're aware of the AIFC Bureau for Continuing Professional Development. This is one of the institutions, the bodies under the AIFC umbrella. It has already launched many Islamic finance courses and programs with sister organizations across the world, including the UK, which has the CISI. This body provides the Islamic Finance Qualification, IFQ. You can access this IFQ through the AIFC Bureau. And there are other courses provided by other bodies which have offerings through the Bureau, the AIFC Bureau, such as the Bahrain Institute of Banking Finance. And one of my fellow speakers today will be is the head of Islamic finance. They will be speaking and shedding more light on their courses. And then you have INCF, which is a university in Malaysia. So there is quite a lot of development already in Astana International Financial Center and the offerings that we have for Islamic finance. I strongly believe that this three-way partnership between three institutions will not only be useful for Al-Farabi University and for Almaty as a city, but I feel strongly that it will be beneficial for the entire country. Almaty is a center of excellence for education, and there are a lot of universities in around this city. Islamic finance as a discipline, as a practice area, as a subsect of the global financial services industry, is one of the fastest sectors in the world, fastest growing sectors in the world. And it is only natural that Central Asia and CIS, which was one time the hub for Islamic learning and Islamic understanding and Islamic commercial trade and business, is providing this playing field today. We all are aware of the history of Central Asia, the Silk Road, which went through Kazakhstan, the routes of Bukhara, Samarkand, and Tirmiz in Uzbekistan, neighboring countries. All of these countries not only provided trade and finance and business routes, which joined this part of the world with the rest of the world and provide valuable business and trade, but also this was a seat of Islamic learning. You'd be surprised because most of us assume that Islamic knowledge, the sacred knowledge of Islam, which is from the Quran, Islamic holy texture and hadith, it came from Mecca and Medina. It came from what we call today Saudi Arabia. It came from the Middle East, because obviously the Holy Scriptures were in the Arabic language. Yet centuries ago, the seat of learning was Central Asia. Why? Because Islam has never been, as a religion, limited to a geography. Yes, it came to the Bedouin Arabs, but it went from there out of the desert of Arabia to many parts of the world through business and trade, including what we call today Malaysia and Indonesia. Islam spread to Malaysia and Indonesia through business and trade, through business ethics, through different Islamic principles, and this promoted Islamic learning. And some of the greatest work done on Islamic law and Islamic understanding was done by great scholars of Central Asia, the likes of Al-Farabi, the likes of Al-Bukhari, the likes of Al-Muslim, the likes of At-Tirmiz, the likes of Abu Dawood, the likes of An-Nisai, and the list goes on. And I personally have a privilege, because I studied these holy texts. I am a scholar of Islamic learning. I don't like to call myself a scholar. I am a student of Islamic learning. But scholarship is something which is conferred upon you. So I spent a big chunk of my life studying the sacred Islamic knowledge, not for commercial purposes, but for scholarly purposes, for academic and learning purposes. And I came through a lot of volume of text which was written, commentated upon in voluminous texts from Central Asia. And it is a privilege for me to be here, to be presenting to you. I understand there's industry represented here and also academia. And it is my pleasure to be sharing this with you. And I would like to treat my presentation as a two-way open discourse rather than me lecturing or talking to you. I think I don't want anybody nodding off or sleeping away. So please feel free to raise your hand and ask a question, interject me, and whatever you want to say. And I think it will be more useful and beneficial for everybody if we do it in that way. Continuing on with the introduction, Islamic finance as a subsector of the global financial services, why is it so dominant today? Why is it so prevalent globally? Of course, we can understand if Islamic finance was prevalent just in the Islamic markets, because clearly Muslims would like to do their business or like to have their affairs conducted according to Islamic law. But some of you may be surprised, and some of you may not be surprised, those who have researched this area, that Islamic finance today is also in the heart of the city of London in UK, where I come from. It's across the entire Europe and other parts of the world where Islam is not the religion of the state or the religion of the country. It is being practiced and followed by Islamic financial principles by the Church of England and Church of Scotland. Vatican City, you can read the papers of the Pope, the head of the Catholic Church, talking about the Vatican City's funds being structured according to Islamic financial principles. You can see various ethical movements across Scandinavia of Norway and Sweden and other countries like Denmark, which are looking at their sovereign wealth funds. As you know, some of the biggest sovereign wealth funds of the world are in Scandinavia, how they can structure their funds according to Islamic financial principles. This begs a huge question. Why so many people in the world are looking at Islamic finance? Is there something, is the world drying up of money? Is there shortage of finance? What is so special about Islamic finance? And I want to highlight this to you. It's very important that you understand the premise of Islamic finance and also the context and pretext of Islamic finance. If you don't understand that, you will only understand Islamic finance application in abstract, and you will not have the jurisprudential or the socio-economic rationale and background for why Islamic finance is being done. For many centuries, historically, conventional finance or mainstream finance, if you like, has been the dominant form of finance till today and still is. However, there are some systemic inherent problems within conventional finance, which economists and experts of conventional finance have now started to advocate against. Why? Because we have seen one financial crisis after another. We have seen collapses, depression, and recession around the world. We know that this is a contagion. It can wipe out companies and countries. And we've had so many bailouts across the world. And the recent financial crisis, global financial crisis, started off with a very small failure, a small thing which was mentioned in the media, but we don't know what was the iceberg and what was underneath all of this. It wasn't just subprime mortgage, substandard mortgages, because obviously US subprime mortgage means mortgages which were sold in the market based on not good creditworthiness of the end users. Junk loans, loan books which were securitized, yet they had no credit value underneath. Yes, this was one of this, but we need to look at the root cause. If you have an illness, a dental illness, a good dentist will look at the root and do a root canal treatment and not just treat the surface symptoms on the top, because they will resurface again. And this has been the problem. The problem of conventional finance today is based on the following. Number one, it is heavily biased in favor of debt, borrowing. Everything is about borrowing. So if you look at your mobile, it's on debt finance. You look at your toaster, it's probably on installment payments. Your sofa, your car, your house, your student loan, everything is being borrowed. And borrowed where you feel that you can satisfy the payments in the future. However, interest rates are never the same. The whole web of debt-based finance is about getting as many people as possible into this debt trap. And I use this word on purpose. Why? Because if you break down and deconstruct mortgage, it comes into two words, mortgage. I'm sure those of you here who know what the word mort means. Mort means death, mortality, right? This is a death trap. Because fine, if you've got a job and you have the health and you can make the payments, you will continue doing that. But interest rates will fluctuate. You cannot guarantee your job security and many other factors which can affect all of this. And even though you have a 25-year fixed period and you've been paying for 15 years, suddenly something happens which is out of your control, you don't get credit for those 15 years. You don't get money back for 15 years. They repossess your property and keep that 15 years payments. And there have been studies done in the UK and elsewhere in the US which have directly linked, and this proves the point of mortgage, of suicide, divorce, depression, and credit. Families have broken up. People have committed suicides, and there have been various other issues directly related to this, because your whole entire life savings come to an end. The financial service provider, the institution which borrows this money to you, whether it's a car finance or house finance, doesn't care about your well-being, your welfare, because they take a security, a charge. They know that if you collapse and cannot pay, they will take over, repossess the property, crystallize the charge, and sell the property and realize their funds. So they don't care what happens to you or anybody else. This is the way the market is. This isn't responsible financing, which the world is talking about today. This is irresponsible financing. And there is no match between the financial institutions and the end users. What I mean by match is risk sharing. There is no risk sharing happening, no risk sharing whatsoever by the banks or the financial institutions whatsoever. They like to share in the upside, the return, but they don't want to share in the downside. And this is what's created this lopsided, unhealthy relationship in the financial services sector. So first, there is this debt trap, debt problem. And also, this is not just about individuals, but we're looking at companies, institutions which are highly geared. You know the word gearing, leveraged. if you go and look at the debt ratio, the gearing ratio of organizations and financial institutions, financial statements, you will see a lot of debt. A lot of debt. Private equity companies are almost 90% over leveraged. KKRs and the big institutions. What happened to Greece? What happened to Greece? Paulson and Co., a hedge fund, along with Goldman Sachs, were the two culprits behind making Greece, Spain, Portugal, and other countries into almost nationally bankrupt. They had to be bailed out. They had huge problems. This is not just a small issue about you and I. This is an issue which affects every sector and the entire national economies of countries. It's debt. It's not just the interest, but it's debt. And how it's done in a very smart and clever way. There's two forms of financing primarily, equity and debt. What does equity yield? The yield on equity is called dividend. The return on equity is called a dividend. And the yield of a debt is interest. Yeah? Now, interest globally is tax deductible, right? And dividend is taxable. This has been done on purpose, deliberately, so that companies, partnerships, institutions lean towards debt, because they can always write these interest payments off as a expense, as a cost, which can be then deductible. So it's actually pushing you, without you realizing, towards debt. And when you're in the debt trap, you have problems. Look at the likes of British home stores, one of the major brands in the UK and elsewhere around the world, even in other parts of the world, which you can buy jackets and coats and children's clothing. It went bankrupt. A company which had so many billions worth of pension fund, it was a black hole in there. And the person who got a knighthood from the Queen ran away to Monaco in Paris, in France. Overnight, people's pension funds wiped out. Overnight, people losing jobs. Companies have gone wiped out. If it wasn't for the US and UK government, most of the big corporates that you and I know would have gone. Northern Rock was bailed out by who? UK government. The RBS, Royal Bank of Scotland, bailed out by who? UK government. Where you and I, our bank accounts, our deposits, our home financing, our children's savings accounts were all there. Government takes mine and your money, tax-paying man's money, to bail these companies out, who then come back in another form and do the same again. And we have a president of a country who is notoriously known to have done more than 13,000 insolvencies himself, who is the leader of the free world today. This is the world we're living in today. And I'm just giving you a tip of the iceberg. I haven't got a time. I haven't got 5 hours to give you a lecture and tell you about all the problems. But I tell you that if you want to read a book, there's a book called The Problem of Interest. The Problem of Interest by a guy called Tariq El-Divani, a British academician who writes and lectures in the UK. And there's many other books in this topic area that you can read. So this problem of debt, this problem of bias leaning towards debt, this whole problem of systemic issues, this risk misalignment is the main issue. Also, another issue, and I will come to why Islamic finance is or seen as a solution. The other problem is, what is money? What is money? Is money what I have in my pocket here? Is this what you call money? This money? Because this is only paper which has been certified by the National Bank of Kazakhstan or the Treasury of Kazakhstan. If tomorrow Kazakhstan becomes nationally bankrupt, this is toilet paper and this is equivalent. It's not really money. Some time ago, banks were only allowed to issue these notes, papers, if they had gold in their vaults. That's called reserve banking. But then that reserve banking became fractional reserve banking. Only a fraction of this real money in circulation was kept in the vaults in gold form. How did this all happen? Where did this all come from? Some time ago, a quick history lesson, gold and silver and such other commodities were money. And gold and silver had intrinsic value. Yes? You can not only use gold and silver coins to buy your shoes or your fish or anything you wanted, but you can also, it has store value. You can sell that gold. However, it had a problem. Who's going to carry gold bars with them? You can't carry sacks of gold. Not only can you be robbed, but also physically it's not possible. So what people started to do, they started to deposit their gold and silver with somebody who was known as a deposit keepers. These people would then issue receipts to say you can come and collect your gold and silver coins anytime you want. And the people would carry the receipts and go to the shoe seller or go to the fishmonger or anyone outside in the market and say, look, I want to buy this. Here's the receipt. You can go and collect it. But even that person would think, 1 minute, why do I need this? I need to go to the market and buy more fish. So the same money started to circulate. These safekeepers who had all this gold, they thought nobody's coming back here to collect this, or not regularly anyway. There's not on demand, what we have today, deposits on demand. So why don't we loan this out? Why don't we use this? This is how banking started, the asset and liability side of banking started to happen. And this is how people started to create this money. And money, fiat money, paper money became money. And today people are in the forex markets and derivatives market buying and selling this. There's digits moving around. There's no, no money underneath. No real economy. We have a complete de-link of real economy and financial economy. The whole point of financial economy was there to support the real economy, but it has become economy in its own self. Many countries, like my country, UK, doesn't produce anything any longer. We don't have textile industry. We don't have shipbuilding. We don't have steel industry. We don't manufacture or export any of this. What we do really well is financial services. We sell to the world financial consultancy and advisory work and how to intermediate between institutions. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that as in expertise, but what I'm trying to say, this is a bubble. Underneath there's nothing. So money in itself is problematic, what today is called money. And especially when countries are overnight becoming bankrupt and nationally gone. And especially when you have IMF lending money to you and bringing in conditions to say, you can't produce this, you can't do this, you can't do this. You've got to put a halt onto your educational sector. You can't do this. Look at the UK. There was a time in the 1990s when you can study in the universities and get a grant. And today people are taking, a student at the age of 18 is taking £30,000 loan. And there's no job market, by the way. If you're doing law, each university is producing thousands of students. There's this much market and that much supply of students who have to then pay all that back and they collapse. Everything is like a vicious cycle. So the dealing between real economy and financial economy, the bias towards debt in terms of the tax deductibility, the whole problem of interest, the unfairness of this. You might think I'm leaving my money with the deposit as a deposit and I'm getting my 2% or 1.5%. But do you know what the bank is getting when they get their money out? Is this really sharing? And is bank really taking the risk? No, they don't. So if you're not going to, if I have a risk taking, I will be more responsible. If my money I give you and is a risk that I will lose this money, I will be more responsible and do my homework and who I'm giving this money to. But banks don't do that anymore. We're talking about responsible financing. We're talking about here about real economy-based financing, real assets that are being sold. We're talking about real money being here. We're talking about ethical investments. When you put all these things together, they come under one roof. And that is called Islamic finance. Islamic finance isn't something mystical, something abstract, something in the heavens, a heavenly finance which some Quran reading people are sitting and telling you. Yes, the values and principles came from there, the laws, but the same laws are in the Bible. The same laws are in Torah. The Jewish religion has the word for interest called ribit, R-I-B-I-T. And in Arabic, we have riba. This isn't something that's just limited to Islam. Major religions around the world have these tenets and the prohibitions. The only thing is that it became relaxed over the centuries, over the years. And in the Jewish religion and others, rabbis started giving rabbinical edicts saying that over 10% is usually, under 10% is okay. These kind of things allow the practices to flourish. Islamic law and Islamic finance is saying, let's bring all the Abrahamic faiths and other religions together because it's our human duty together to save humanity. This is a problem that's not just prevalent in one part of the world. This will affect our generations. This is affecting all the social infrastructure. This is affecting investments in the real economy. Will save, if you look at Islamic finance, you should look at it from a socio-economic perspective. You need to look at the social impact of this economics. And the social impact I cannot share with you right now, because this isn't a time I have to be able to talk at that length, but I've already given you hints. For your own self, you can go and read Hubbard. Hubbard has written one of the greatest books on banking. What is banking? The meaning of banking. Huge book by a Western writer who was talking about what is money. And there, everything is deconstructed, what the problems are. And you will find that all these problems today, across the world, look at this country, Kazakhstan. It's one of the richest countries naturally in the world. Is that right? You produce everything. What is the state of the economy? The economy and the GDP is nowhere. There is no link between the natural resources of this country and what the economic position is. You have Christine Lagarde and World Bank coming here and telling you, and I'm not against anybody by that, I'm telling you, coming here and telling you to borrow money. Saudi Arabia, which produces oil, is in debt as well. It doesn't make sense. I can understand the country that has no natural resources is in debt, but country which is naturally resourced, this is the way we are going forward. If we do not sort this out, then this country and other countries will suffer. You will suffer from an economic point of view. And this has a knock-on effect in terms of social impact. Look outside Astana and Almaty, travel the country. You will find poverty everywhere. A rich country with so much poverty. Many people are living in very, very bad conditions. Look at not just Kazakhstan, many other countries which are in this state. Same with UK. City of London, you only have to walk 15 minutes by foot and you will find homeless people around there. That's not me. Anytime you have a chance, Google or Yahoo search for homeless statistics in UK, in City of London. One of the richest places in the world and has that problem. UK has poverty issues. Poverty, first world country has poverty issues. Unemployment issues. British crime surveys every year coming out telling people gun crime is going up, murders are going up, homicide is going up. What is happening? Why? Because average man on the street hasn't got enough money to pay. Financial problems lead to social problems. Financial problems lead to psychological problems. Depression. You know, if you spend your day, you do 7-hour shift, 8-hour shift, 12-hour shift a day, and you come back, you work for 20 years of your life. You're putting the food on the table. You're paying for your kids' education. And all of a sudden, something happens and you lose everything. Either you've lost your job or you had a car crash. And the bank is not going to be shedding tears. They don't shed tears. They're not going to come and say, well, let's give you some moratorium or some time. No. They don't care. This level and this kind of financing is irresponsible financing. There's a move now in the Western world called impact financing, social financing, responsible financing, and ethical financing in US, in UK, in Europe, and rest of the world. And these people are joining arms with Islamic finance because it's not just the problem or the solution of Islamic finance, it is a global problem that we need to come together. The other thing that's important is money itself. I was mentioned to you earlier, we don't in Islamic finance treat this as a commodity, the paper money. So you cannot buy and sell money. You can use it as a medium of exchange. To use money to buy this bottle of water, to use money to buy the house. This is the way. Not, you cannot trade in money itself, but you will create inflation. You will create unnecessary hike in the money. And then you have countries who come out with bailouts, who do cash injections, and there's oversupply of the money. Then they have to raise interest rates to control this supply. See the problem? It's a vicious cycle that goes round and round and round. And then you have housing crisis, mortgage crisis, you have educational crisis, you have .com bubble. And next finance crisis is coming around the corner. It's happened one after the other, till we will get into this huge problem, will be no way out. And that's why sensible people who have understanding of real issues and solutions have looked at Islamic finance. Today, Islamic finance is being taught, lectured in 58 universities of UK. 58 universities. No other country has this much. Master's level, MBA, PhD. Why a country like that is looking at this? Because people are not biased about or care about, is this the religion of Islam? They looked at the underlying value of Islamic finance and they see the solutions. I myself spoke in the Church of England and Church of Scotland events, in Westminster Palace Parliament. I have spoken to bishops, the heads of church, and we have spoken at detail in length how we can do this. Do you know that Oxford University, one of the most famous universities in the world, was founded on an Islamic waqf? Yes? Islamic trust, endowment, was the tool used to create Oxford University. Today, Oxford has a center for Islamic studies and creates some of the best minds around the world. Harvard University, how big is this? President like Obama and other presidents have graduated from Harvard Law School. The greatest American presidents, US presidents, have come from Harvard Law School. Soon as you enter Harvard Law School, you look at the main entrance of the door. I'm not making this up, you can go and check it. Has got a verse of the Holy Quran. Not a verse from, and I'm not saying that there's anything higher or lower about anything, of Bible, or Latin law, or Greek law, or European law, or American law. A verse of Quran. I am trying to say to you that evidence for Islamic law and Islamic finance is coming from even the other side. It's not Muslims who are championing this. And the verse says this. I, by the way, memorized the Quran by heart when I was 11 years old. So that was one of the requirements to becoming a scholar. And till today, I remember it. So if anybody here who knows the Quran can give me 3 words and I'll finish the rest of the verse for you. And this is one of the miracles of the Holy Quran. And last 30, 40 years of my life, I have retained this and I feel blessed. The verse of Quran is, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, O you who have faith. And this is not just faith with a capital F, as in Muslim faith people, but anybody who has belief. Kunu qawwamina lillah, stand for justice, equity and fairness for the sake of God. Shuhada'a bil qist, stand as evident and as witnesses. Walau ala anfusikum, even if you have to give witness, evidence and testimony against your own self, awil walidain, your parents, awil aqrabin, or your nearest relations. Justice is something that you have to be fair about, even if it means you standing down. And they said there is no more poignant, powerful statement on justice and fairness in anywhere. Not in Aristotle's famous literature, not in any of the greatest works, and they chose this. Until today, people have realized this. All of our products and produces that we look at around the world, if you look at the underlying English law, the law of property is taken mainly from Islamic law. This is so that I am saying to you, this is value-based system. This isn't something that has been come and imposed upon us. Yes, people unfortunately have misrepresented and misinterpreted and mispracticed Islam today, and that is the case everywhere. You know, it's not just one religion. Any other religion has had these issues. It's just that the problem in decades ago, communism was the enemy. Today, another enemy has been created to justify wars. And I'm not saying they're not rotten people. They are rotten. But you can't call everybody bad. You might find cases in UK and elsewhere around the world where doctors have committed some bad acts with their patients. You don't call the whole profession bad. You'll find lawyers who have siphoned the money from their clients. You don't call the legal profession bad. So there are people who are misusing and abusing the name. But Islamic finance and Islamic law has permeated the world today. And we have found solutions which are being offered all across the world. I have come across many places where I've traveled. If you look at countries like Singapore, a non-Muslim country, you look at a country like Hong Kong, South Africa, Luxembourg. These are countries where I myself helped the government issue a Islamic bond. So UK is the first country that did the sukuk. Sukuk is the Arabic word for an Islamic bond. And interestingly for you, sukuk is the plural of the word called sak, S-A-K-K. And English word check, if you look at Oxford Dictionary, comes from the word sak. So this is where the English words lexical roots are from. So sukuk is an Islamic bond equivalent, a conventional bonds equivalent in Islam. Now sukuk is done to raise finance. UK government, after 2 decades, the Labour government, Labour Party was in power in 1997. They looked at Islamic finance and Islamic law. I was at the time on the Bank of England's advisory board, and the late Lord Eddie George, who was the former governor of Bank of England, asked me to look at this issue. And we looked at it, but government was never convinced, one after the other. Because in the UK, they always thought about, if we issue an Islamic bond, we are a secular or a Christian country, how will this go down in the eyes of people? Eventually, we managed to convince them to say that this is ethical. This has got nothing to do with promoting the religion of Islam and making it the religion of the country. They looked at the values of Islamic finance, and then the Treasury Department of the government issued this bond, Islamic bond. I structured all of this. I used to work for Linklaters, a law firm. I'm a lawyer by profession as well. And I did the legal work for this. At the same time, I issued the Sharia opinion and Sharia structuring, which is quite unique to do both sides. And we managed to issue the UK government bond. UK was very, very worried, and they said, we only want to do a 200 million. But will you be surprised? Within the first morning of trading, it went to 2.3 billion, over 12 times oversubscribed. And then within 6 months, I was contacted by the Luxembourg government. Can you help us with our sovereign sukuk? So I did the sovereign sukuk there. And then we worked with Hong Kong, South Africa. Within 2 years of 2013 and 14, we did these 4 sovereign sukuk. So this is happening all over the world. Today, people are even looking at, I cannot buy this property here, real estate. How about if we all get together and buy units in this property? What is this called? REITs, Real Estate Investment Trust, REITs, Real Estate Investment Trusts. This allows everybody to share. How am I going to wait for 25 years to buy a big commercial property? Why not we bring 200 people together, each one buy their shares and their units, and you can sell this and make money. So really, now today we have in Singapore, Islamic REITs. Do you know Luxembourg, which is the Singapore of Europe, which overnight has become the capital of funds, is the capital of Islamic funds. Do your own research on the website of Luxembourg, a country which is between France and Germany, what it has done for Islamic finance and how beneficial it has become. So, and if you look at Malaysia, 70-odd%, 72, 73% of the users of Islamic finance are non-Muslims, Chinese, Malay. So, and in UK, the Islamic Bank of Britain, British Bank, which is now known as Al Rayyan Bank, its customers, check Al Rayyan Bank website, are non-Muslims, mostly, who are opening deposit accounts, taking saving accounts, investment accounts, using finance from their Islamic finance. Why? Because it makes sense. There's a city in the northeast of UK called Newcastle. Newcastle is in the northeast. And in Newcastle, there's an area called Gateshead. In Gateshead, both parties were non-Muslims, and they chose Islamic finance for their use. The party, this A, wanted to use Islamic finance because of the value and the principles. The B also said this. And they said it makes commercial sense. Why not we use Islamic finance if it can give a similar return to conventional finance, plus it's based on ethical values? Islamic finance doesn't allow you to invest into certain areas which are dangerous for society. Arms industry, pornographic industry, anything that's going to hurt, tobacco industry. So it's very ethical. In fact, we are now creating index, which is looking at stocks and shares of companies as to whether they are socially responsible investors or not. SRI, Islamic SRIs, they're indexes. This is making companies, years ago, companies used to have corporate social responsibility, and they used to pride on this. Now they have to go even further. We're talking about gender balance on boards. We're talking about women being represented. Do you know how much of Islamic finance we have women? We have a growing number of women who are studying Islamic finance, professors in UK, university, elsewhere, who are in banks, heads of Islamic finance. One of the senior partners of a big law firm in UK, head of Islamic finance, is a woman. And many people I know are coming from other parts. So this is not biased towards male or biased towards Muslim people. Anybody can partake in this. If you are somebody who believes in ethical values and principles, you can study independently from your own research why Islamic finance has risen, what are the root causes of this, and what is the benefit of Islamic finance on Islamic principles. I'm not saying it is perfect, right? I'm telling you about the way, one of the problems today we are finding institutions which are implementing and adopting Islamic finance are doing it according to their own interests and desires. This is a big danger going forward. Why? I could be a conventional bank. I can see my neighbor in the city who's doing Islamic banking, and I want to make money, which is fine, nothing wrong with a conventional bank doing Islamic banking. We call it an Islamic window. You have to open a separate fund so that there's no mingling of the two funds, of Islamic funds, co-mingling at all, and it's segregated funds. However, if you start to just do a relabeling exercise, meaning you're still doing a conventional mortgage, but you want to call it Islamic, or you're still doing the conventional car finance, but you call it Islamic, and you don't do the right steps. What are the right steps? There should be real risk ownership. There should be real ownership transfer. If you're not transferring the ownership, but you as the financier still keep the ownership transfer, ownership title, then you have not done Islamic finance in true sense. So I am telling everybody to make sure that we help these organizations that want to practice Islamic finance, that they are true to the spirit of Islamic finance, that you don't manipulate this and just do a relabeling exercise, because this will not only endanger your offering, your organization, but it will ruin the whole ethos and the ecosystem, the underlying rationale of this ecosystem for Islamic finance. It's important that we understand this. From an academic point of view, a lot of research is now being done in different areas of Islamic finance. We are looking at tools which are supposed to be more sustainably friendly. Tools like waqf. Waqf is a word used for endowment and trusts and foundations. We can use waqf. You can even use benevolent loan system. Because I was speaking earlier, yesterday with someone, and there is a humanitarian crisis around the world. Yes? In many countries, there is humanitarian crisis, food crisis, in Yemen, in Sudan, in lots of parts of the world, not just Muslim world, but all over the world, regardless of which background you're from. Now here, food shortage and food issues are major. We need to come up with new Islamic finance-based terms and structures and product development which can help these causes. So it's not just for commercial purposes. It's not just about institutions and banks and insurance companies and pension funds making money out of this. Yes, of course, Islamic law does not prohibit making commercial benefit, but it's also tools and instruments that we can use for humanitarian purposes, for poverty alleviation, for sustainable development, for empowering the weak and the disadvantaged, for helping more empowerment of women in society. We can use Islamic tool. This is the creative mind we need, so that we don't just limit Islamic finance to 4 or 5 products that we are aware of and just limit it to banking. Islamic finance never started off as Islamic banking. Islamic finance movement in the last century started off as an Islamic economics movement. It was an economic challenges that the world was facing, and we had no solutions at the time. Islamic law was already there, practiced many years ago, many centuries ago, when Muslim empires and countries were ruling, like the Ottomans in Turkey. The Ottomans were using Islamic finance. But since the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, nation states, Muslim nation states which got independence, like countries which got independence from UK, countries which had independence from the USSR, these countries had no Islamic identity. Yes, there were Muslim population living there, but they don't have national identity. So they started to look at Islamic finance and how we can develop this. And in the late 60s, early 60s, late 60s, we started to talk about this between Islamic economists. And in the mid 70s, we started to set up the institutions. And this new drive, which started off as an Islamic economics movement, looking at the socio-economic problems of society. And then came banking and came insurance industries. Because let me tell you for a few minutes what the insurance problem is. The conventional insurance problem is as follows. You and I, we have many risks that we need to insure. We have a property that we need to insure against any hazards. Like the property can be burned, there could be theft, there could be a flood, something can happen to the property. Same with our cars. It could be a car accident, it could be burnt, it could be stolen, anything can happen. So you want to insure that particular item, that product, the house, the car, anything else like this. Conventional insurance says you pay premium, an amount, you contribute this once a year, let's say $100 a year per person to an insurance company. That insurance company takes your premium, your contribution, and says, against these categories, A, B, C, D, E, these risk categories, we will insure you. If any of these risks happen to your property or your car, we will cover this. Even if the amount of that damage is more than what your payment that you paid in that year, we will pay you. However, if nothing happens to your car or your property, they will not pay you back. And they know it's a chance game that not everybody's car and house is going to get burnt and stolen or flooded. So this is where they make the money. Islamic insurance, takaful, which word comes from the word kafala. Kafala means guarantee. You are mutually guaranteeing each other. Says no. You do not pay a premium to a third-party insurance company. This is called a risk transfer, transferring your risk to somebody else, and that you don't care what happens. And they don't care as long as they only pay a few people. Islamic insurance, takaful says, we as the policy holders who pay this premium, we are joint owners of this fund. It's not a third party, not company X insurance company is the owner. If there's 1 million people and these 1 million people put $100 each, this collective amount, this fund, underwriting fund is jointly owned by us, not by a third party. Now, if the risk materializes, we will pay whoever needs to be paid, and whatever surplus extra is left, technically it belongs to all of us. It should come back to us. Or we can leave it for future reserve building. So it helps us in the next few years. If there is a deficit, in a year that we cannot pay everybody off, then you can take from Islamic banks interest-free loan. Interest-free loan that this is which Islamic banks are providing today, and that interest-free loan is used to pay off any of those insurance risks which could not be covered by the fund. And then in future years of surplus, that loan will be paid back, but no interest. See how collectively beneficial this system is? Not one person is profiting. There's real risk sharing, risk pooling. This is the way of Islamic. And today, major giants of the world, like AXA, Aviva, like Swiss Re, Hanover Re, big German reinsurance company, are doing re-takaful and takaful. Go and do your research on takaful and re-takaful, insurance and reinsurance. And European and American, British companies are doing Islamic insurance. They see the benefit of this ethical system. And they see a commercial value. Now you will say to me, who manages this? We can appoint a company to manage this, and we can pay that company a fee to manage this. This is an agency fee, or this is a fee for management of the fund. Now, if the same agent wants to go and invest this fund for us, because we don't want to just sit on this fund, if we all paid money and let's say it came to 1 billion, now we could use this 1 billion to invest it in profitable assets, in profitable investment instruments, and the benefit that grows from that also comes back to everybody. So not only is this fund used to pay everybody's risk, it is also used for investment purposes. And the return that comes from that, it comes back to you. So this is a hugely profitable and ethical business. And the same applies to Islamic banking, the same applies to Islamic funds, Islamic pensions, Islamic asset management, Islamic private equity, and a whole host of areas which are there for our useful benefit. Now, I have spent the best part of almost 1 hour speaking, and you can see my throat is going as well. And I would like to use the remaining time that we have to answer your questions. I'm sure most of you or some of you will have some questions. Please feel free to ask any question. We can have a discussion about the questions and give answers. Don't worry about whether the question is simple or complicated. We are all here to benefit from each other, to learn. I'm also happy to answer questions later on as well. If you have any questions, you can, through the organizers, you can contact me. But this is a time where we can benefit from each other and ask questions. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you very much, господин Шейх Билялхан. Уважаемые участники, предлагаю задавать вопросы, пожалуйста, нашему спикеру. Пожалуйста, задавайте вопросы. Просьба представляться, хорошо? Задавать вопрос лучше в микрофон, если он...
Sheikh Bilal, thank you very much for very emotional and informative presentation. It was very interesting, really. My name is Yelena Muzykina. I represent Kazakh Research Institute for Future Studies and Narhos University as well. So we are very much interested in future cooperation, inshallah. Thank you very much again for that information. And my question, maybe you possess that information or not, but according to the latest report of International Islamic Financial Service Bureau, issued on May on Islamic banking system in 22 countries. There are only 2 countries outside the Muslim world. That's UK, which you mentioned, and Kazakhstan for the first time was included into that report. In UK, there are 5 Islamic banks with some branches. And when listening to you and your report on the British Islamic system, I was wondering, UK is the 3rd European country with Muslim population after France and Germany. Is there any Islamic finance in those countries, in France and Germany? And the second question, according to that data in the report, Turkey has more Islamic broader Islamic financial system than even Saudi Arabia. In Turkey, there are more than 1,200 branches of Islamic banks. In Saudi Arabia, it's several thousand. Why there is such a dichotomy? For Kazakhstan, there are only 2 Islamic banks with very few branches, probably 3 branches, and very few employees. So how can you comment on that? Thank you.
Thank you for your question and your interest and your kind words. Let me tackle the first question and about what the demand levels are in mainland Europe, across Western Europe, in Germany and France, which have huge concentration of Muslim population, huge population centers, and what the trends are there for Islamic finance and how does that link. You're very right about mentioning those 2 countries because both of those countries had, over the last century or so, big migration of the Muslim world. So in France, a lot of the North African Muslims of Arab descent have moved there. So you find Algerian, Moroccan Muslims in France. And in Germany, you'll find a lot of similar kind Muslims, but also from Turkey. Yeah. So there's a lot of Turkish community, Muslim community there, and other populations, but I just gave a few examples. So Germany and France, as opposed to UK, have bigger number of Muslim population. Yet the Islamic finance is comparatively low. The reason being is, and I'm not here singing the praises of UK, but I would say this to you, if you compare centuries before, the British Empire's approach as an empire and French colonization approach, wherever the French went, they almost broke the back of the Muslim economy in that country, not allowing even the practice of the religion or the language. You look at Algeria, anything. Whereas the British went into India and other places and they allowed that to happen. UK has, just in the city of London alone, and I'm sure you're looking at city of London, we have a Muslim mayor. We have public azan prayers that you might not even find in Muslim countries. We have more than 6,000 mosques. We have MPs in the parliament. Because the British approach has always been the cultural approach. If we want people to become more British, then we need to be more multicultural. We need to let them allow them to express their religion and express their faith and their opinions. And this has allowed a better integration of Muslim community in the UK. The French approach and the German approach before, I'm not saying now, used to be that, well, Islam is something foreign, could be a threat to Western civilization. Let's keep them at arm's length. So Muslims were not seen as more integrated. You will not find as many Muslim businesses or Muslim parliamentarians. I myself was vice chairman of Prince Charles's Trust, which is a position you would not normally get if you are a Muslim. I was in the British Parliament for 4 years as an all-party parliamentary group member. I was one of 26 business ambassadors for UK government. This would not happen. I am a freeman of the City of London. This is the highest honor that you can get from the Queen and the UK for having this. Nelson Mandela, Winston Churchill, Princess Diana got this. So this kind of freedom is given in the UK because I think it's a cultural acceptance. Having said that background, the reality today is that France and Germany and other countries like Holland and other countries in Europe, Belgium, are now looking at the UK model and are saying maybe this is a better model. Therefore, Islamic finance is slowly growing. That's one thing. Culturally, they're more accepting. Number two, the British institutions and British organizations have now gone and branched out into Europe. So they're taking the British model of Islamic finance organizations into Europe. I have been speaking with the mayor of Amsterdam in Holland, and they're looking at setting up Islamic finance institutions in Holland. So this is happening quite a lot. There is the Bayern Munich, the German football club, well known. Now in that area vicinity, there is student housing for accommodation of students for universities. This is being looked at to create an Islamic fund in the heart of there to do this. So there's a lot of examples of this happening. And I think you should look at the statistics and data, hopefully in 5 to 10 years time, to see a better reflection. As far as your second question is concerned regarding the mismatch or the dichotomy between your words, dichotomy between Saudi Arabia and Turkey as an example, and why there is more Islamic finance in Turkey and not as much in Saudi Arabia, unfortunately the data is misrepresenting. And the reason why I say this is Saudi Arabia doesn't have this dichotomy of Islamic and conventional. Saudi Arabia holds itself out as saying that it's doing everything is Islamic. That's why they don't like to use the word takaful. They say all of our insurance is cooperative Islamic insurance. And the same applies to Iran. Both of these two countries, Iran and Saudi Arabia, regard all of their businesses and institutions as Islamic. So therefore, that how true and independently that is a separate thing. Yeah. It's a separate issue, but Saudi Arabia is a leader. And within Islamic finance, if you look at the Islamic Development Bank, which is the major institution, it is housed and headquartered in Saudi Arabia. And this group also has institutions, which is also in Saudi Arabia. Major institutions, Islamic organizations, financial institutions are in Saudi Arabia. However, the country is vast and it is growing slowly. And there's a different understanding of what Islamic is, what Islamic isn't. And therefore, that is something that you shouldn't, it's like comparing apples with pears, I would say. And so you would look at Turkey and say, even Turkey, they don't allow the word Islamic. So they use the word participatory banking, participation banking. And Turkey, under the former reformist and the person who founded the modern Republic of Turkey, Kemal Atatürk, he made Turkey, after the fall of Ottoman Empire, a secular country. And until today, the Turkish, even though there is a Muslim party, the Welfare Party of which is in power, and Erdogan is the president, they have respected and they respect the Turkish constitution, which is a secular constitution. And their approach is quite similar to UK approach. In UK, none of our acts of finance or any of the rules and regulations mention the word Islamic. They use the word alternative financing or ethical financing. And this allows to not disrupt the secular constitution. The UK government's approach has always been to provide a level playing field and not give any advantage to Islamic finance. So it has been a healthy approach. And I think countries like Kazakhstan, if you're worried about this, whether this will be seen as a religious movement, you can follow the model of UK and promote Islamic finance on a business model in that way, where you see it as an ethical finance. Look, terminology is terminology. Whether I call this ASU or I call it anything else, labels are nothing. It's what the contents are. Inside, if there's orange juice and I call it water, it's not going to make a difference. So I think for acceptance of the public, you have to take these baby steps. And it is nice to do it in a way which is culturally acceptable. And I would say that's the better model for Kazakhstan as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Пожалуйста, представьтесь.
Thank you very much for your presentation. My name is Davlet Asubekov. I represent Chamber of Entrepreneurs of Almaty City. It is the organization that represents all the entrepreneurs. My question is, where do you see the obstacles for the development of Islamic finance in Kazakhstan, and why do you see currently Islamic finance is not popular for Kazakh entrepreneurs to be used as debt as instrument.
Thank you very much. Very good questions, and thank you for your kind words. We have to look at Kazakhstan as a country which is new and young. So a country which is new and young itself will have something like this, which is new to the country, is going to take time. It is more about piecemeal, organic, incremental growth of Islamic finance rather than coming in and imposing it. Yes, you might think this is a Muslim majority country and therefore there should be Islamic finance, but I think it's a case of slow growth. And it's more a case of having success stories and case studies to show the public, because some people are wary of the word Islamic. They might think it's charitable, it's religious, there's no money to be made in it. So we need to really demystify this and really answer people. And I also say that in some countries, we need to, which are not every country around the world is Arabic speaking. And one of the problems or tendencies of Islamic finance people is to use so much Arabic language that they bamboozle the public, and you think there's so much jargon, I cannot do this. My style has always been to simplify this and use the English or the Russian or the Kazakh equivalent, and to make it look very simple to you, hold your hand and take you through. So this is the first answer to you, that it will take time. The country is slow, new, and it will take time. I think the approach by people here, have a lot of people sitting here maybe as well representing different institutions, are trying their best, and we should congratulate them and should work together. But I think my lessons that I've learned and experience has been to demystify and simplify this and tell people what it is. Don't say the word musharaka. That could make you scared. What does musharaka mean? Yeah? Musharaka or mudaraba. What do you say to them? Musharaka is two partners coming together. Don't we have partnerships? How many companies have partnerships? How many people have partnerships? We have partnerships everywhere. You want to have a hair salon, you create a partnership. You want a law firm, you create a partnership. Why can't we create this partnership on musharaka basis? What does that mean? It means both parties, or more than both parties, whoever the partners are, put money in, and then they share according to agreed ratio, percentage. You cannot fix the price I will make, because that could be, you might not make that money. And then you split it accordingly. That's Islamic, as long as you don't do anything wrong. Fish is halal. You don't need to slaughter the fish. You don't need to say halal fish. Some things maybe you are doing already in Kazakhstan, already Islamic finance, but if people are not aware about it. So maybe we should promote this in a better way. Mudaraba is the opposite, slightly, where I am the dentist, expert, but I don't have the money. I want to set up my dentistry firm, outlet, dental practice. I am the dentist, I need you with your money. You bring your money, you're my partner, I bring my expertise of dental experience. And we share our profits accordingly, whichever we agree. So if we say you will take 70%, I'll take 30%, fine. In Mudaraba, one person brings the expertise, or brings the entrepreneurship, or brings the knowledge, or brings the time and effort, or the labor, and the other person puts the money, or persons put money. And Musharaka, everybody puts money in, varying money, and that's it. Now you look around, you're the Chamber of Entrepreneurs, how many people are doing this? They're already doing it. It's just that they don't have the word Musharaka Mudaraba. So what we need to do, and maybe some of the practices they are doing may not be ethically and commercially the way it should be. So we should promote more of this. And I'm happy as someone who can come and give talks and speak to your entrepreneurs and educate them. And not only this, but also the opportunity is international investment into your country. Islamic finance also is an opportunity for you to attract money from countries who want to invest into Kazakhstan. There are people outside of Kazakhstan who have surplus funds and liquidity, and they like this country because it's fertile, it's agricultural, the country has natural resources. They want to bring their investment in here. Or you as a country want to export, and you want to export to countries which can do this through Islamic finance, simple principles. So this is the first thing. Not many people are aware of what Islamic finance is. What the obstacles are, there's very few obstacles. I think education is one of the things that we need more awareness in education. I don't mean education in doing diplomas and degrees. By the way, there is some countries where you find, I spoke with some friend of mine, anything new he wants to learn, he does a degree. I said, you will be bankrupt if you carry on doing this. You want to learn something new, you want to do a degree. So it's a matter of educating people, it's a matter of working together. I don't see any obstacle in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is a country which is open-minded. The first president and this country yesterday, the elections happened. It is a democratic country. It is improving compared to its neighbors. You look at where Kazakhstan is today. It is a country which is trying to become a member of OECD, a country which is a member of WTO, a country which is a member of UN, has gone very far, given that it's only 20 odd years young. So happy to help you, whatever you need. Be patient with the country, and I'm sure this country will be the capital of Islamic finance for Central Asia.
Dear Sheikh Bilal Khan, thank you very much for interesting presentation. And my question is connects with the previous question. Overall, from your perspective, is Kazakhstan ready for Sharia compliant private equity? And for the first Islamic private equity fund, is there any international leading Islamic finance entities ready to create and develop Islamic private equity funds in the Kazakhstan? Thank you.
Yes, I will not spend too much time on that. It's a good question. Thank you for your kind words first. It's a good question. It's a simple question. I can give you a very simple answer. Yes. There are institutions out there who are happy to help you set up a private equity fund and invest into that. It's just a case of identifying the right projects, the right corporate entities, the local partners, and someone like me and our institution, AIFC, sitting here, and various colleagues, they will happy to help you with that. And me, in my personal capacity, I can help you structure this in an Islamic way, from a Sharia compliant way, legally, to look at this in terms of legal documentation, and also to match you with partners across the world.
Yes, that would be very grateful. Because we are tackling, I just forgot to introduce myself. My name is Rawan. I'm a representative of Kazna Capital Management Company, which is a private equity arm of National Management Holding Bayterek. So for the last 1 year, we're trying to create Islamic private equity fund, but at this moment, we are tackling with the obstacle which we cannot get hold of any direct contacts from the international Islamic leading private equity funds, or the entities are ready to come to Kazakhstan and make this happen.
Please, take my details, and I'm happy. I already, whilst you're talking, I have 1 or 2 names in my head.
Sure, great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Уважаемые гости, есть ли у вас еще вопросы?
One more question to you, Sheikh Bilal, as the CEO of Islamic Financial International Center. Have you made any research among Kazakhstani banks about ethical norms, Islamic financial ethical norms to be implemented? Because one of the key pillars for Islamic finance is profit risk sharing. And as a customer of a bank myself, from this perspective, I don't feel that Kazakhstan banks, they're ready to share risks.
Okay.
Have you done any research on local level on that?
Okay, thank you. Just to correct, I'm not the CEO of AIFC, so I don't want anybody saying that. I am Chief Islamic Finance Officer, responsible for business development. We also have a head of Islamic finance, who is the overall head for Islamic finance in AIFC, and so we have different people. So we need to be very clear. I don't want anybody in media representing me as the CEO of AIFC, and then I get called into some room and said, why did you allow that to happen? So I'm not. I'm business development guy who's for Islamic finance. And we are a huge family. There's few of us sitting here already, and we can happy to help you. I have looked at the financial norms. I always say one line to people: horses for courses, right? I don't know if you know that what it means. Each horse cannot run on the same course. So every Islamic finance product is the right answer for everything. Banks, probably profit sharing is not the right way right now, because banks, the word bank itself is a debt creating vehicle, right? Banks like creating debt inherently, and equity sharing is not going to be something that's going to be music to their ears. So we're looking more like trade finance related products, more cost plus financing, more other kinds of financing tools we can use with banks. Entrepreneurs will be more kind of looking into risk, and they will look at equity based products. Private equity management companies and consultants, they might look at that. So we need to find the right organization and find the right tools. This is our job, as my job personally, I have been doing for the last 25 years for my sins, is helping organizations find the right optimum product the right structuring, suiting your appetite, commercial return that you want to make, also which is ethically right for you, doing the documentation. It is not easy. Anybody can stand up today and say we're an Islamic finance expert, but it's not easy. You know, copy and paste will not take you far. To go and find some structure from the internet and give you that solution. And there's a lot of people who are doing that, and they will sell you short. I will always say to you that make sure that you find the right expert. I'm not saying come to me, but you find the right expert who understands your needs and what you want to achieve, and then structures this accordingly. And remember also, we can structure this in new structures which you haven't even heard of till today. So all the textbook you're reading about Islamic finance only talk about 7 or 8 products which are known. Musharaka, Mudaraba, Murabaha, this, that. But who says this is the only one? There's many more Islamic products that you're not aware of. Because unfortunately, these are financial engineers. The people who are talking about this are financial engineers who are known to how to engineer products for you, but they don't know how to originally create something new. This is where I think the gap in the industry is. For example, if we want to grow the energy sector or the renewable energy sector, or we want to grow the agriculture sector, where are the products for that? In Kazakhstan or in Islamic finance? Very few used. So this is the area that we need to sit and talk about. Personally, if you have any needs or anybody else around the table has any particular needs, we are happy to help you structure the right product, happy to introduce you to the right organization externally, happy to do your documentation, you will have to look at Sharia certification, Sharia opinions, legal documentation. There's a lot of needs here. It's not the case of like having a doner kebab shop and putting a sign halal outside and say it's halal. It's not going to be as simple as that. You know, somebody will walk through and say, 1 minute, I want to check where the meat came from, what happened, just like anything else. So we can work on this. I'm very happy to help you. If there's any more questions, happy to take them. I know there's quite a lot of shy people. Please don't be shy. Ask questions. It could be anything. You have a chance now. Otherwise, I will charge £1,000 an hour afterwards. I'm only joking.
Уважаемые гости, все-таки разрешите прерваться на кофе-брейк. У нас видите, по программе. А прежде чем мы уйдем на перерыв, я хотела бы поблагодарить нашего спикера. Давайте похлопаем. Thank you very much. И я хотела бы вручить небольшие памятные сувениры от нашего Казахского национального университета имени Аль-Фараби нашим гостям. It's for you.
Oh, thank you.
Our present.
You're very kind. Is it gold-plated something? Oh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And for you. Может быть, мы все сфотографируемся, если есть желание, подходите, и потом пойдем на кофе-брейк. Да, сейчас. One photo, please. Here. Сюда. Может, будем сидеть? Да, мы сядем, чтобы не загораживать людей, да? Уважаемые гости, мы приступаем к следующей части нашего воркшопа. Слово предоставляется сотруднику по развитию бизнеса Ближнего Востока и Юго-Восточной Азии господину Ахмед Нагибу.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. First, I'm very happy to be here, especially with a lot of people from different industries. And I'm very happy to see some faces which I'm familiar with. I would like to present. So actually what I'm doing is I'm handling the business development of the Middle East and South Asia in the AIFC. I would like to present Kazakhstan as a case study and what happened between Kazakhstan and what happened before in countries who started Islamic finance. I will use Bahrain as an example. At 1990s, Bahrain started Islamic finance. And this may answer some of your both questions in the previous session related to how much Islamic finance can add to a society. Islamic finance in Bahrain is a very, very small country compared to Kazakhstan land. Kazakhstan is 9th country size in the whole earth. And Bahrain maybe is like the 199 in size, you know. It's actually like 1/10, maybe less than that. However, its economy show up more than 37% only for the Islamic finance, only because of that. That doesn't happen in one day. That doesn't happen in 1 month. It happened gradually, easy steps. Second thing which I would like to mention is in Islamic finance, the risk sharing can still be avoided, especially to banks. Banks doesn't have to be afraid from the Islamic finance. If they go over there, if they analyze the contract, Islamic finance you can do anything in the current commercial banking with a different kind of contract. You can combine 2-3 contracts to create whatever transaction you want. When it comes to entrepreneurs, then you have only one kind of contract. And then you can create additional different. But banks shouldn't be afraid from the Islamic finance. Islamic finance in UAE is dropping the interest rate for the economy. Interest rate, profit rate, we call it in Islamic finance terminology. However, it is equivalent to the interest rate in the commercial banking. It's dropping the interest rate to 3 and 4%, maximum to 7%. And over here, we all know that the interest rates are crazy. It's like 13 and 14 and maybe 22 even. And that because the cost of the fund is very high. And that because the taxes which they are paying as banks. At the end, the bank profitability is calculated only on the profit they gain. So if their cost of funds are low, automatically the profit for the end user will be low. So that's related to the Islamic finance and Bahrain. How to start easy steps. Easy steps is to make an ecosystem. You need 3-4 partners and players to create an Islamic finance community. You cannot create Islamic finance bank or Islamic bank without a takaful company to cover it, without a Sharia compliance consultancy to cover it, without a Sharia board, without an Islamic legal firm to cover it. It is not one step. It's not that tomorrow if we find a Middle East bank to operate over here, it will start directly, and no, unfortunately not. And that's why you only have 2 banks, and that's why they only have 3 branches, because they are facing a lot of legal issues. But that's what we are here for in AIFC. We are trying hardly to appoint those issues. We are trying hardly to solve them with the government, address them at least, so we can make them know what exactly they need to change to attract more Islamic finance. We are seeking even banks to open windows Islamic windows or branches to start this process. And through the AIFC, we got access for free, offers, we can help to structure, to even provide the consultancy through the participants, which currently we have around six consultancies, top ranked, one of the very high end. Especially in Islamic finance, you have two main schools. And by schools, I don't mean that these two main schools are the only option, but they are the most successful ones. The Middle East school and the Malaysian school. The difference are not so huge. Both of them are coming back to Sharia perspective. And Sharia is coming out from Quran. And as long as your Sharia board determine that it's Sharia compliant product and contract, you can go with it. And it's up to the end user to accept it or not. It's up to you as a consumer to accept to deal with this bank or not. And for that, you have different companies which they show up and they say, we evaluate each and every bank offer according to the Sharia standard of IOFI, Sharia standard of IILM, Sharia standard of Malaysia or Middle East, and they give you the opinion. But after that, it's up to you to move inside or not. I hope this clarifies a little bit about the last session and the questions. Now I'll start real quick with the presentation of the AIFC. Please stop me or for any other questions within it. So for those who don't know about the AIFC, it's located in Astana, former Astana, currently is Nur Sultan. And it's an international financial center with a regulator. With a regulator means that AIFC regulates its own business. You don't need another regulator inside the country. So in case you get approved by this regulator, you just have to follow the guidebook of the regulator. Now, since this is a financial meeting, we will ask questions like what happened to the Central Bank of Kazakhstan? Central Bank of Kazakhstan still exists. Our regulator takes this into consideration. And even the regulation of the central bank and AIFC are almost equal, even a little bit of things. Let me give you one simple example. Record keeping in central bank is for 5 years. In our regulator, it's for 6 years. So the bank will not be harmed that much to keep 1 extra year of record keeping. And I believe within the audience, there is bankers who understand that. And I'm very happy to see you here. Hello? Oh, it's not working. It worked first slide only. Okay. So who's the potential of AIFC? Financial gates, Belt and Road Initiative, and privatization. Financial gates, we would like to have all the financial institutions, takaffuls, asset management, private equity as you ask for. Belt and Road Initiative, we all know about the China and how they are putting a lot of money over there, but actually we are from the Islamic finance point of view trying to equalize that. We are not against them, but we cannot support it. We want to equalize it. It's not good for any economy to have one channel of money coming. It's always better to have 2, 3 other channels equivalent to that. And privatization of state enterprises, which here I will stop for 1 minute, giving a real example, real Kazakhstan case study, which is Kazatomprom. The shares which launched almost 6 months back, which achieve a lot, it launched in a dual listing between AIX and London Stock Exchange. And guess what? This share is a Sharia compliant share. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But we have a company from the Middle East. We hire them. They go through the whole documents and they are announcing it as a Sharia compliant and now start to be offered in the Middle East. So again, just a reminder that as the same sentence Sheikh said, fish is not halal or haram. It's only halal. So if your job is only halal, you don't need to announce it halal. I used to work in Al Hilal Bank. I'm sorry to mention the bank, but it's just a simple example. And Hilal Bank is called itself Masraf Al Hilal. And Al Hilal Bank is owned at that time by Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed himself. And when he asked Sheikh Mohammed, why didn't put Masraf Al Hilal Al Islami? He said, why? It should be normally Islamic. We shouldn't give ourselves a tag of Islamic if we are doing only Islamic job. So privatization, back to the point, privatization could be a lot of other companies which can be Sharia compliant without they even know. I will give an example in this case related to Air Astana. My presentation is live examples, by the way. I'm sorry for that, but I hope it helped you to understand where exactly we are standing in this Islamic finance. I will give an example of Air Astana. Air Astana, there is a news that Air Astana will be a private shares listed soon. And it's all in the news, it's not secret. But let's take it as an example. In usual, airline business is Sharia compliant. However, they offer some alcohol over there. Agreed? So then we will face, is it halal or haram? Is it Sharia compliant or not? What's happening? And then we will have two schools to follow. One school which says 0 tolerance or 3% maximum tolerance, which is Middle East. And then you have 10% tolerance, which is Malaysia. By 10%, we mean the 10% of the total income of the airline. We are not only talking tickets, we are talking everything else. So that after calculate, the company will have an option. Let's assume that the sales of that alcohol is 14%. And they still need to be Sharia compliant to sell. They have two options. First option is to minimize the sale to go inside either Malaysia or Middle East regulators. This is the first option. And then it will be Sharia compliance. Then you will be allowed to buy it in case you want to. Second option is to forget about the Islamic finance. Forget to go there. Because nobody will support you going more than the Malaysian, more than 10%. So this is a real life example on how you can adjust your business according to whatever you want to do. What they gain if it's Sharia compliant is more 1 billion people living on earth. Now let's take Kazakhstan as a middle of the Central Asia. Nobody else is close to you. Nobody else is close to you in your steps, even in the Islamic finance. We wonder why it's dropped back. It's just the steps which you want to take. It's where you can step at the beginning, where to go to the end, and how to do that. Representing the AIFC, they are seriously giving all the options. You need a location to try, here you go. Do you need a tax-free? Here you go. Whatever you need, you are getting just to try to generate this industry and to generate income in an Islamic Sharia way. This is so weird. Medina, can you help with this? Yeah, if you don't mind. Can you help me with this? So all the next slide, I'll be very fast because there is no, not related. Strategic directions, it will be the capital market, the asset management, the private banking, Islamic finance, and fintech. And those are 5 different pillars which AIFC are working with. So let me just go through capital market. Inside, you do have Islamic and non-Islamic. Asset management inside, you do have Islamic. Private banking, you do have the difference. Fintech even, there is a new Islamic fintech companies. So as you can see, Islamic finance is not only a pillar. Islamic finance is almost in each and every different pillar. Just go there. Just go there. I'm not lucky here. Yeah. So we created bodies. Those bodies are different, like to support the whole business, the whole ecosystem. We created the Financial Center Authority, which I'm working in, Medina, Sheikh Bilal, and everybody here from AIFC. Then AFSA is our regulator. Then a separate court and separate arbitration center. The court and arbitration center is to create safety to the international investors, to bring the money, to bring themselves, and to start working here. So they are not scared of the local law. They are not scared that they lose, which happened in so many international financial center open, and then after that collapsed because of the non-safety to the investors. Additional to that, we created the AIFC Professional, which organized this event. For example, Green Finance Hub, FinTech Hub, Expat Center take care of all the expats, which we suffer a lot before. But with them, they are like one-stop shop for the visa, documentation, each and everything, and the AIX exchange. Again, next. Each body of this is independent body, so no control for it. Again, next, please. Huh? So forget about that. So let's take a case study of a financial institution, not from inside Kazakhstan. It's an international financial institution coming to Kazakhstan. What they have to bring and what they have to do to enter the Kazakhstan market. What we are doing for them, what we can offer them. As we said, we offer the English common law, the taxes, the regime, whatever. But the reality is, if this organization is already licensed by any other partner, they need nothing. They just need their license. We will issue an equivalent license to them, and they will enter here. We will open a bank account for them in a different bank in the Kazakhstan, in a dollar currency. They will put the capital requirement or whatever the working up capital of them in that bank account. They will start operating, and then they will create their own system linked to the central bank of Kazakhstan through their bank account in a different bank. Those are the most famous and well-known companies in the Islamic finance regulatory. You can see the IOFI for sure, everybody know about it. The Service Board, IFSB, Association of Insurance Supervisors, and those also can handle the takafa. How is that can happen in AIFC? We first go to an authorization stage. Authorization stage take around 3 to 9 months. So average of 6 months, but 3 to 9 months to confirm that the ultimate beneficiaries are legal. They are not criminals. They are not coming from nowhere. It's legal money. They're already well known. To study their business plan, to study what they want to do in the Kazakhstan, to study where they're going to invest and what they are trying to happen over here in the country. After the authorization stage approved, then we go to registration stage. Registration stage take usually like 1 month, 1 month and a half. If in case you are registered in the Kazakhstan country, you will be issued a license. Same like the BIN, which you already have, business identification number, as usual as that. Moving forward, you will operate from the AIFC. Can you ask him about this? Because I need the second presentation, important. Then you can operate. And according to the law of the AIFC, you can even hire expats. For each 6 meters, 1 person. It goes through? Thank you. Yeah. So currently we have 169 companies, and they are from 150 countries. Sorry, 169 companies from 18 countries. We do have 22 brokers, which is listed in AIX, which this is how we found about Kazakhstan Brom. And this is us about the business development group. In business development, we are not only taking the applications through, we are also guiding some application from the scratch. Like if it's a commercial bank, which they need to create something, we are ready to support with them from the Sharia perspective, from the legal perspective, from the documentation. If you, as the head of entrepreneur society, if you need a legal advice of your Sharia contracts, kindly contact us, because it's a development of the ecosystem. It's not development of companies. We are ready to support the full ecosystem in the business development team. Can you please put the next one? This is our guidebook of authorization and participant, as I said before. Now, I would like to share this slide. I'm sorry, it's not very clear. You can see it. So I would like to share the base capital requirement in every international financial center except Dubai and AIFC. If you are sharing line of business, you have to pay twice for each and every line of business. In AIFC and Dubai, you are paying only for the maximum which you have to pay. So if you choose, example, if you choose managing investment, managing collective investment scheme, providing custody service, arranging custody service, this should be $1.7 million anywhere, except in AIFC and Dubai. It will be only $500,000. So if you choose one option, which is higher than others, you remain with the maximum, and that's it. Now, since this is an Islamic finance meeting, I would like to differentiate between the Islamic financial institution and Islamic finance banks. Islamic financial institutions are simply allowed to give out money. مشاركة, مضاربة, مرابحة, istisna, tawarruq, whatever it is. They are not allowed to take money from clients and keep it with them. They are not allowed to hold clients' money. Only banks are allowed to take clients' money. And for that, you will see the difference between the capital requirement. For Islamic banking business is 10 million. For Islamic financial institution is only 2 million. And one more thing, which is the last, the ancillary service in the AIFC, unfortunately, till now, they don't have separate Islamic consultancies. So the Sharia compliant consultancy or the Islamic consultancy currently go under the business and management consultancy as simple. That will change soon, but that's also benefit that the Sharia companies can be listed as business and management. So they don't only provide Sharia terminologies or Sharia contract. They can also support the companies which are introduced to new Islamic finance to help them through, to take their hand and go through all the steps. Sharia, legal, marketing, how to target, what to say to the client, what to offer and what not to offer. I believe those are the most important point. I only have 10 extra minutes. I would like to give some time for questions in case you want. and I'm ready to answer. Thank you so much again.
Пожалуйста, задавайте вопросы, уважаемые гости.
Thank you for your presentation again. And my first question relates to the first minutes of that presentation. You've mentioned that you're helping companies which are entering Kazakhstan market with some legal issues, and you're also working with the government about complying the requirements, Sharia requirements and Islamic finance requirements to our local legislation. How difficult it is to not just convince, but what is your experience? How you feel about that experience working with Kazakhstan government and trying to convince them that there are some changes which are required in the legislation?
I will share with you the real, thank you for the question. I will share with you the real, what's happening right now related to that. I will just use an example, which is live example. It's related to the Murabaha contract. Anybody here from the Islamic financial institution will understand the Murabaha contract and will understand the problem of Murabaha contract in Kazakhstan. It's basically on the value added tax, which is you have to pay it twice. So you don't only pay it once, you pay it twice. Our real problem, not to say that the Kazakh government or we are doing like, our real problem is the market value. Market value is so low. When you go to negotiate, the participation of Islamic finance in the Kazakhstan is less than 1% of the GDP. So they are not listening to you that much because you only cost them 1%. It's not about bureaucracy, it's not about misunderstanding. I do believe that in case this 1% come to 3%, not 5, not 10, just 3%, they will listen. It will be different. The mass will be different. If somebody believes in the Islamic finance in Kazakhstan and go for retail business will create a huge, compared in the profit rate, Islamic finance institution in the Middle East maximum are creating 6%. Over here, they can give discounted than the average rate 6%. Imagine. So out of 22, you can sell with 16. And all the rest can be covered with the correct Sharia contracts. So my answer to you is very simple. The moment we create the mass, the moment we create the demand, it will be easier to finalize all that steps. But it's gonna happen. Sooner or later, it's gonna happen. Please.
Good morning, Kazakhstan Ijara Company, Igirim Ilyasova. Our Ijara company has a great demand for Islamic funding, and we already actually started to work with Medina for exploring the issuance of sukuk on IX. And I have actually two questions. First is, do you have any plans or maybe some roadmap to help institutions raising funding to meet the investors? Do you plan to create some pool of investors?
Mic closed. Your mic closed.
Sorry.
It's okay. Last sentence.
Do you have any plans to coordinate the interests of Islamic institutions who needs funding and Islamic investors, like creating pool of investors, not only providing the framework and not only providing infrastructure for example, for issuance of sukuk, but also to help finding investors, because for any placement, the most important thing is finding investors who are willing to buy these sukuks. So this is first question. And second question is maybe a little bit technical. Can you elaborate a little more about this VAT on Murabaha? Did you mean commodity Murabaha or Murabaha of goods? When you mentioned that VAT is paid twice, can you elaborate a little more? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's start with the first question related to the AIX listing and relating to finding investors. First of all, there will be some technical question which I have to ask you first, but not now. I mean, which is like, for example, how much do you need? How much you are looking for? What kind of investor is that? Is it a bank? Is it private? Is it so on, so on, so on? So this is something different. We will talk about it later. But overall, we are trying to support the AIX so much. We already have 3 meetings right now, which to create some sukuk listing. And we already contact 2 banks, which they are trying to support the issuance of the shares. Foreign banks, but it only depends on the size and the documents which the companies which will provide, because this will create like the most important thing.
Yes.
As you know, you have to go through the credit of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is one. 2, in the same question, we are trying, there is Astana Financial Days, which I'm 100% if you say that you are dealing with Medina, so you already know about it. Islamic Finance Department through Medina are creating their own program, and it's very nice. This is the road show for the Islamic Finance Department and pillar inside the AIFC. Business Development Department are creating a little bit investor relation meetings. I would like to announce that now, and in case anyone would like to have this, please send a request to Medina, to me, doesn't matter. And we will schedule meetings in the Astana Financial Days with each and every company separately, with the current investors which whom will be available at that time.
Okay.
So we would like.
Sorry. And do you have already a list of investors to see to show? Yeah.
We cannot share that 100%, but we know who's inside, like personally.
Okay, great.
And there is one of them is Islamic.
Oh, great.
But the final list of the names is not finalized, and nobody on earth will give you the list of investors. Sure. They will definitely ask the list of the project first.
Sure.
However, I'm answering you very honestly.
Yeah. This is a great opportunity. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It will happen. What was your second question about?
About twice paying of VAT.
Yes, yeah. I meant the commodity murabaha, usually the tawarruk, which you have to. People who know about this, it's happening in London Metal Exchange currently only, and in London Metal Exchange, which I have to buy and sell. So I buy, so the seller for me will pay the value added tax. Then I buy, so I will pay the value added tax, and then I will sell, so my buyer will pay the value added tax, where both of them are agents, to my case, to generate the funds. So actually, I am as a bank are paying twice.
Actually, under Kazakhstan tax law, this is considered as turnover outside Kazakhstan, and it's not VATable. So is this under IFC legislation, tax legislation? Because in this case, it is less beneficial rather than issuing,
That's a very good point. But once the moment you are inside here, you have to hire a broker here. And this broker is taxable. So I'm sitting in UAE and I have my broker called Salama. This Salama is taxable under the UAE law. In the Kazakhstan law, what is untaxable is the money outside of Kazakhstan. If I'm controlling the money outside of the Kazakhstan and transactions happening outside Kazakhstan and the money is not coming, correct?
The commodity is not coming. So it is, it's not imported, it's not export. So the sale and purchase is performed outside Kazakhstan on London Metal Exchange. So it is considered as turnover outside Kazakhstan, and it's not VATable. So there is no issue with the VAT. We have commodity murabaha.
That's amazing point.
Yes.
But
yeah,
I have a different financial institution inside Kazakhstan who say it's VATed twice, and I know them personally. And I will review this.
Yeah,
but for community murabaha and for normal murabaha, what do you do? If you buy a normal murabaha as a vehicle, for example, do you pay value added tax?
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah,
if you sell it,
then
the customer will pay again.
Yes, and it is VAT on added value only, so there is no issue actually, because we buy for 100 million, for example, and we sell for 120 million, so the VAT is for 20 million for our company.
Your license is Ijara, just Medina, just give me an information that
Jara companies and Islamic banks are exempt from the VAT tax. So
Okay.
if you are just a financial company, you have to pay tax. So for example, we had example from Kazakhstan Finance, for example. They're just a company, so they have to pay double tax, even for murabaha or for the commodity murabaha.
No, that's interesting. Okay. Oh, yes. Yes, I think we need to explore this more. And from your side also.
This
because-
will be very helpful to us. So
Yeah.
allow me to contact you later on.
Yeah, sure.
And
sure.
I will go through.
I was wondering if this is under UK regulation.
No,
which is,
no.
Ah,
UK
okay.
regulation have nothing to do with it.
Okay.
UK is an English common law, which
see.
will allow you to do
Okay.
any legal business. It's related to legal more than Sharia.
Okay.
And as we have a dual agreement with UK, for example, so if you pay taxes here, you don't pay taxes somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's around 22 countries,
Okay.
as far as I know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Next.
Уважаемые гости, задавайте вопросы, потому что исламские финансы достаточно проблематичный сектор у нас, вы знаете.
May I have a question, please? IFC has done a very great job on promoting Islamic finance tools and the whole definition of this financial tool in Kazakhstan. So my question is, how far IFC come? I mean, do you have any companies already registered in the IFC, or for example, in the IFC as a Islamic banking entity, or maybe other Islamic financing tools provider?
Simple answer, currently 18 in the pipeline. As simple as that. 8 currently, 18 in the pipeline. But additional to that, let me elaborate. As I said at the beginning, we would like and we hope, and our task is to create an ecosystem. You cannot start something without all the tools around you. So we started, I believe we started in the correct manner. We started with the consultancies, we started with the Sharia providers, we started with the Sharia creator of Sharia boards, we started with the legal firms which have a Sharia understanding to create the contracts. And now we are with the banks. We have like one bank is already registered, one bank is under application, and we have from outside now requests. Our main requests currently are coming from the major asset managers, which are European based and UK based, and they do Islamic asset management. The current, I will not give the name of the company, allow me, because this is like different, but they have $1 billion under management, and it's 6 people. Yeah, I was shocked, like, what? Can you repeat again? And this is true. And they want to come, and they want to come to the CIS region, and they choose to be their hub inside. They want to see your projects, where to invest. So again, to the same point of privatization, which was there, I believe next year it will be very good for at least those companies which will get launched, in case we get them a Sharia approval. Is this answer your question? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other critical questions?
Можно я
I'm
задам
ready.
вопрос?
Please.
But I in Russia. Переведете?
Feel free.
Вот вы уже начали реализовывать какие-то проекты. Мгм. Вот уже на базе МФЦА начали реализовываться какие-то проекты согласно принципам исламского финансирования. Скажите, пожалуйста, какие самые трудные барьеры до сих пор еще непреодолимы? Ведь мы же видим, что это достаточно сложно идет. Связано ли это с тем, что народ не знает шариатских законов, либо он просто финансово неграмотный. Вот какие барьеры для вас на сегодняшний день самые такие сложные?
Thank you for the hard question. The real barrier is that people believe that Islamic finance is different than normal finance. That people believe that only Muslims are allowed to do Islamic finance or to get benefit out of this. Even Sharia board can be a non-Muslim. You can have it as a non-Muslim. So the main barrier is education of the people and education of the society. And then after that, you will have the international commerce. You will have the international acceptance. You will have the offering and the acceptance in related to the general equivalent, how to say that, middle Islamic finance. Not the extremist, even to the right or to the left. I'm not saying let's have this 10% of Malaysia, let's create Kazakhstan 50%. No. And I'm not saying 1% against everybody. Just let's start. Let's take one step at the beginning. The main obstacles, I believe, is knowledge, attitude, and steps toward the problem. 3 things. That's it. I hope I answered your question.
Ответили. Thank you very much. Еще, пожалуйста, вопросы.
Go ahead.
May I ask one more question? So you have mentioned that you're preparing, like as we we know, Air Astana for the IPO.
Yes.
And trying to qualify by Sharia compliant as well.
That's we are not doing yet, but they have to do it.
Yes.
Yes, we
So,
have a company to do that.
Yes, you have mentioned the issue. So how you will tackle this issue? I mean, maybe I missed the point how you will be tackling this problem about the alcohol. And I think they have. I don't remember if they have duty-free shop on board, but as the duty-free shops on board as well as other airlines, they provide alcohol and tobacco as well. So in this kind of case, how you want to solve this problem?
I will repeat the same answer. I use Air Astana as an example. I will clarify everything right now again. I used Air Astana as an example and how a company should, what the company gonna gain if it's a Sharia compliant, then it will have more share resales, then the share will come higher and higher. Same what happened with Kazakhstan Brom, the moment they announce it's Sharia compliant and it go to the Saudi market. And I think at that month, it jumped $1.6 if I'm not mistaken. I was following this my own self the moment I know that it's Sharia compliant, and I was very happy with that. Related to the Air Astana as a particular example, we will go through it. If any company is trying to list itself and is trying to be a Sharia compliant, it have to follow either IOFI or the Malaysian standards. The moment it follows the IOFI, which is around 2-3%, or the Malaysian standards, then companies which are called Sharia rating agencies. Those Sharia rating agencies are marketing for all the international shares all over the world, saying that Medina shares are Sharia compliant, equivalent to IOFI standards. What's your name, please? Yelena shares is Sharia compliant, equivalent to Rajhi Bank standards. What's your name, ma'am? Dawliyat? Yes. Dawliyat shares is equivalent to the Malaysian standard, is Sharia compliant. And they give you this data on your mobile account or whatever. And then you are allowed to choose, because if you are a Sharia compliant manner person who are trying to get, you will have your own beliefs. Beliefs are lying between here and there, and it's up to you. So you will say, yeah, I don't like the IOFI, they are so much stuff. I would prefer to go with the Rajhi Bank Sharia board. They are more like safe in this option. So you will choose Yelena shares then, and so on. So at any company who would like to list, they have to minimize their non-Islamic business to the minimum of the standards they would like to go with. Is this answer it? I can explain more about this. This is very important. This is the awareness which I was talking about. The moment people are understanding this and they are not hiding behind terminologies. If you can see today, this is almost like we are here 3 hours. We didn't use the most sophisticated terminology to convince you about Islamic finance. Because the moment people are hiding behind the terminology of big words, there is no understanding. This is what we don't want to do anymore. We want to explain easily for normal people, because Islamic finance is not something hidden. It's historically the first traders, as simple as that. Where we used to use camels and go around and sell stuff. We can still benefit out of this. It's easy and livable, long term. It's the only thing survived 2008. Nothing else survived 2008 crisis. I hope I answered your question. Yes, please, Dawlat.
I want to clear. So only the sale of non-Islamic part is under the regulation, yes? As I understood, only the sale of beverages, alcoholic beverages and tobacco would be as non-Islamic. In Air Astana's case.
In the case of Air Astana, I'm just using the example of selling of alcohol and selling of tobacco. Let's assume that they are doing a sales of tickets, assumingly, sales of ticket between Almaty to Astana on an installment basis and with a profit or interest. So this is for sure haram. It's not acceptable. But if they are selling it on qard hasan, on non-interest base, then it's halal. So in order to answer your question, for any other organization, not only for Air Astana, what we really do is we taking the balance sheet, we taking the documents, the audit report, we read it one by one entry by one, and we find out what's can be halal, what can be haram. Then we send it to a Sharia compliant company to confirm whatever we find out, to check and recheck on our job, and then they assume, write a report, and we give it to them, and they will announce it in the market as a Sharia compliant, which standard, what's going to happen, and then it go through. So all the haram business have to fall under or below the percentage which your regulator have to say. So IOFI 5, Malaysian 10, or whatever. Al-Rajhi, I think between 7 to 8. And this is very good. I will use 1 more minute with you. I'll just use 1 more minute just to explain one thing. We heard that example actually from one doctor, which I like so much. He's a doctor in INSAFE. I'm not sure if you heard that with me or not. But he was a manager of Islamic financial institution, which he have to give money. And for those who know, the guy come to ask money for a pork farm, big farm. Do you understand how haram is that? Do you understand that? And he come to the Islamic finance institution having the document and saying, I want $100,000, man. I need it. Here you go. So I'm seriously asking you, what do you think? Is it approved or not? You think no. And why is that? Okay. So I will give you the correct answer, my friend. And this is for the education purpose. They approve it. How? Because the guy, the owner, say that he is not selling the pork for food. He's only selling it for medical reasons, for the pharmaceutical company which creating the medicines. They take an undertaking, they watch him very closely for the next 5 years. And they say you only have until 5% of your production to sell for food purpose. But any 1%, like 0.001% more than that, we will review your case again. And it got approved. So it's not how you package it. It's what it's really for. It's what it's really for. You can apply the same example on so many things, like grape farm, for example. You will say, no, they will create wine. But they also sell grapes. Correct? You can apply a lot of other things. I can carry on for the next 1 hour. Everything can be halal and can be haram if you want to. But it depends about the document, it depends about the application, it depends what you're going to do with it. And the tolerance, you can fix it. I hope I answered your question. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please.
Following up your example with this lending money to that guy who was planning a pork farm, you mentioned 5-year close watching. Who was doing that? Because that immediately applies very heavy monitoring from the side of the one who is giving money. And it is either bank or Islamic financial institution. And also you've mentioned in the structure of your organization, there is a court. Could you a little bit elaborate more on the work of that?
Allow me to ask you, where are you working, please? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No problem. Kazakh Research Institute for Future Studies.
Okay. So the follow-up come from the Islamic financial institution, which really give the money. Inside each and every Islamic financial institution or Islamic finance bank, there is 3 different divisions, which doesn't exist in normal banks. Sharia credit, Sharia board, and Sharia following up cases. And those 3 departments are taking care of the business. The Sharia board first say that this application is acceptable from Sharia perspective or not. The second is to approve creditly that when we are giving this money, it will be used only for Sharia reasons or Sharia products. The third one is to follow up all of this. So they are taking the first 2 recommendations and they are sending field visits. You will ask me, Ahmed, this will cost a lot. Yes, it will cost a lot. But it's also because we know the benefit of it. It comes with a different values. It comes with a society help, taxation free, cost of fund are lower.
Ethics and reputation.
You understand that? So the following, and usually I used to work like 14 years in banks, so I know that exactly. The unpaid loans, this is how we call it in Kazakhstan. Over there we call it debt, but anyway, over here you call it non-performing loans. Non-performing loans over here is very high. In Islamic finance, it's very, very low. Because you are giving them a break, you are giving them an easy interest, you are giving them a logic. In istisna is a mortgage, by example, for you to understand. In istisna, you are owning a percentage of your house. If you die after 5 years, your kids still have 25% of the home, where in any other case scenario it's not. I hope that answered. Okay. And about the court, you want to know? About the court, it's following with the English common law. You have arbitration center first, which is very common in the commercial contracts, which is more easy than to go to the courts. And for the courts, we have 8 judges. Sheikh Bilal is one of them. Lord Wolf is the head of the judges. And if you announce in your contract currently between any 2 parties that you would like the arbitration center or the AIFC court to take care of your case, you are allowed to do that, even if you are not a participant, even if you are outside, even if you are doing a business with outside partner of Kazakhstan and you want him to feel secure and you are saying we will follow the English common law on this contract and you put the clause over there, you can go directly to arbitration center or to the court. So you don't have to be a participant to use it. It's for the sake of making the international court system in Kazakhstan inside the international system. So at least everybody know about it. I hope that answered your question.
So majority of the contracts which are concluded with your organization, they are specified in the terms that the regulation, the law which is ruling this contract is common law.
Yes. Yes, there is a clause separately for Islamic arbitration center and court, which you can add to any contract in Kazakhstan. Thank you. Any more?
Господин Ахмед Нагиб, thank you very much for your speech. Давайте поблагодарим. Разрешите предоставить слово представителю Департамента исламского финансирования МФЦА Тукуловой Мадине. Мадина, вам слово.
Здравствуйте еще раз. Я хотела бы рассказать в целом про развитие исламского финансирования не только в МФЦА, но и в Казахстане. В целом развитие исламских финансов в Казахстане началось в 2009 году с принятием первого закона об исламских финансах. Вроде бы такой большой промежуток времени, прошел 10 лет, но в принципе проделана была достаточно большая работа. Пришли первые исламские банки, это Аль-Хиляль и Заман банк, открылись исламские джара-компании. Есть компании, которые занимаются в целом исламским финансированием, несмотря на то, что они являются не шария-комплайн. Кроме того, был первый выпуск исламских ценных бумаг. Казахстанская компания, это БРК, выпустили первые исламские ценные бумаги, Сукук, на малазийской фондовой бирже. И в целом было принято очень много законодательных актов, именно в части, я говорю, Казахстана, по развитию исламских финансов. Они включают в себя и нормативное регулирование исламских банков, исламских финансовых компаний. Они включают в себя выпуск исламских ценных бумаг и налоговое законодательство. С приходом МФЦА ситуация поменялась, поскольку в МФЦА, во-первых, очень гибкая система в плане регулирования. В 2017 году было принято ряд законодательных актов МФЦА по исламскому финансированию. Для этого мы привлекли грант Азиатского банка развития. Кроме того, в настоящее время мы работаем над мастер-планом по развитию исламских финансов, не только в МФЦА, но и в целом в Казахстане. Для этого у нас также мы привлекли грант, но уже и Исламского банка развития, который определяет основные пути развития исламских финансов в Казахстане. То есть мы в целом видим, что мы хотим, к чему мы идем, но хотелось бы, чтобы консультант, для этого мы привлекли консультанта, чтобы он в целом определил основные шаги по развитию исламских финансов вот здесь у нас в Казахстане, что нужно сделать дальше. И вот в рамках Астана Finance Days, который у нас будет с 1 по 5 июля, это очень большое мероприятие, именно МФЦА, в рамках него будет проводиться конференция 3-4 июля, AFC Islamic Finance Conference, и на этой конференции мы планируем презентацию мастер-плана. Это будет не сам мастер-план, но основные, скажем так, шаги, которые, основное видение со стороны консультанта по развитию исламских финансов в Казахстане. Было очень много вопросов в части того, что, конечно, что 10 лет вроде бы такой большой промежуток, да, как я уже повторюсь, что было сделано, почему исламские финансы не развиты так, как необходимо. И вот хотелось бы пример Малайзии рассказать. В Малайзии в 1983 году был первый исламский банк создан. До 1993 года существовал только этот исламский банк. Дальше они начинают вводить законодательство, вводить новые акты именно в части исламского финансирования, и с этого момента начинается бум в области исламских финансов в Малайзии. До сих пор этот бум продолжается. То есть необходимо время для того, чтобы, во-первых, поменять сознание и в целом, чтобы у людей пришло в сознание, что есть такое понятие, как исламские финансы. Если говорить в целом, у нас пока население в части финансов, оно еще только начинает получать какие-то знания, мы начинаем доверять банкам, например, понимание именно появляется в области финансов. А когда приходит такое новое понятие, как исламские финансы, естественно, у людей начинается, что это такое, что оно даст. Что очень много было примеров, когда люди звонили, например, в Аль-Хиляль банк за бесплатными кредитами. Вот. То есть Очень много работы еще предстоит в МФЦА, для этого, в принципе, был и создан. Мы видим исламские финансы как альтернативное финансирование. Мы видим большой интерес в плане стран Ближнего Востока, Юго-Восточной Азии, как потенциальных инвесторов, которые могли бы зайти в МФЦА, учитывая английское право, учитывая достаточно гибкое законодательство. Они рассматривают МФЦА как площадку для того, чтобы предоставлять исламское финансирование, исламские финансовые продукты. Поэтому еще очень много работы предстоит в этой области. Для этого у нас и привлечены международные эксперты. У нас вот на базе МФЦА, например, экспертный совет, консультационный совет, международный экспертный совет по исламским финансам создан, где они дают свои рекомендации в области исламских финансов. Планируется создание шариатского совета, который тоже будет при МФЦА, который будет давать основные рекомендации по исламским финансам. То есть мы собираем экспертное мнение, но мы понимаем, что мы не можем идти по пути Ближнего Востока или Юго-Восточной Азии. Мы должны выбрать свой путь, казахстанский путь становления и развития исламских финансов. И для этого мастер-план, который я упомянула, для этого вот этот мастер-план у нас и создается, потому что консультанты, они приезжали, они встречались с компаниями, они получали их видение, основные проблемы, которые есть у нас на сегодняшний день в исламских финансах и в целом финансовой системе для того, чтобы развить исламское финансирование у нас здесь, в Казахстане. А так МФЦА большую работу проделывает не только в плане законодательства, в плане привлечения исламских финансовых компаний. У нас сейчас есть исламские банки, да, которые исламский банк, онлайн-исламский банк, который зарегистрирован у нас в МФЦА, компании юридические, консалтинговые, как уже Ахмед говорил, также зарегистрированы в МФЦА, финтех-компании, которые готовы предоставлять свои финтех какие-то технологии в области исламских финансов. Есть несколько вариантов именно в плане возможности биржи выпуска исламских ценных бумаг. То есть биржа у нас полностью готова для того, чтобы принять выпуски исламских ценных бумаг. Кроме того, мы в дальнейшем, совместно с бюро, да, очень большая работа проводится в плане повышения, скажем так, знаний в области финансовой грамотности в области исламских финансов. Да, проводятся различные семинары, бюро проводит семинары. Мы, как департамент исламского финансирования, тоже IFSB, IOFI, вот здесь показаны были, Ахмедом, две международные организации. Это основные организации в области стандартов исламских финансов. МФЦА является членом этих двух организаций. Совместно с ними мы планируем и проводим различные мероприятия, семинары по исламскому финансированию, то же самое для повышения финансовой грамотности в области исламских финансов. Поэтому мы очень рады, что интерес исламских финансов есть. Мы очень рады, что создан был приказной центр, который позволит нам, скажем так, повысить финансовую грамотность в области исламских финансов, повысить профессиональную, не только финансовую грамотность среди населения, но и профессиональную грамотность в области исламских финансов. Это очень важно, потому что большой пул профессиональных участников, которые нуждаются в более глубоких знаниях, потому что за 10 лет, в принципе, достаточно было общих таких базовых семинаров в области исламских финансов, и уже появилась жажда, скажем так, таких более глубоких профессиональных семинаров, воркшопов. И я думаю, благодаря Казну мы сможем проводить такие мероприятия. Поэтому спасибо вам большое. Мы очень рады, что вы у нас совместно с нами создались. И спасибо вам. Если возникают какие-то вопросы в области исламских финансов, МФЦА, проведения каких-либо мероприятий, мы всегда открыты и будем рады сотрудничеству с вами. Спасибо.
Спасибо, Мадина. Пожалуйста, уважаемые гости, есть ли у вас какие-то вопросы к Мадине? Пожалуйста.
Спасибо большое, Мадин. Вы упомянули о том, что планируете создать шариатский совет. Из казахстанских представителей, допустим, вы кого-то планируете включить туда? Потому что, как вы сказали, да, у нас путь не ближневосточный, не малоазиатский, у нас все-таки, даже если говорить о юриспруденции, у нас свой ханафитский мазхаб. Кого-нибудь планируете из казахстанских специалистов вводить?
Да, обязательно. Представитель Думка, будет также у нас включен, вот, ну, этот человек не только, ну, как бы ученый, он в целом ученый не только в области шариа, но и в области исламских финансов, и он также будет включен вот в шариатский совет. Это вот наш местный представитель, Махсат Каиргалиев его зовут. Вот, так что мы ожидаем, что вот как раз-таки в рамках Астана Finance Days у нас будет сессия одна посвящена именно принципам исламского финансирования, и вот как раз-таки там будут участвовать представители вот шариатского совета.
Ну, у нас уже, так сказать, время, и разрешите приступить к следующей части. Перед тем, как мы уйдем на обеденный перерыв, я предоставляю слово нашему гостю, Шах Белялхану, для вручения сертификатов участника. Пожалуйста, Лаура.
This certificate, can everybody hear me? This is to certify that Zabalova Tolkin has attended the joint workshop Islamic Finance in Kazakhstan, Perspectives from the AIFC and Partners at the AIFC BCPD Al-Farabi Kazlu Islamic Finance Center.
Жабелова Толкан.
Есть? Нету.
Сифулин Раван.
Нету.
Турлыбеков Нурбол.
Congratulations.
Умиралиева Медине. Алтыспаев Куаныш. Сабитова Айнур. Миндвали Раван. Жамиева Назель.
Well done. Congratulations.
Айкжаева Салтанат. Можно правильно сказать? Салтанат.
Well done.
Тухтар Толганай.
Well done.
Дисикеева Альмира. Тома Наталья. Букашев Дауренбек.
Well done.
Надо переписать? Перепишем. Музыкина Елена.
Well done. Congratulations.
Асылбеков Даулет. Кан Эдуард. Ильясова Айгерім. Албакирова Жанат. Агабекова Маргарита.
Nice surname, like a pizza. Thank you.
Степан Сержан. Акбар Мадина. Шалабаева Жанара.
Congratulations.
Магомедов Ислам.
Congratulations.
Имангалин Сапаргали. Шунай Аскар. Алпыспаев Куаныш. Сабитова Айнур. Субугалиева Гуназым. Окей. Что?
Well done, everybody. Congratulations. Okay, with that, congratulations to each and every one of you for taking part. I know it seems like just a certificate of attendance of appreciation, but it is. You know, these things are the cornerstones for our ongoing education, awareness, and development. And I hope we will all work together for the growth of Islamic finance in Kazakhstan, in Almaty, across the university and other bodies. We have a lot of energy around this table, a lot of interest, and a lot of experience. If you put all of that into one melting pot, it will make a very tasty dish. Take care. Bye.
Раз.
Начать, стартануть, то тебе предоставить.
Hello. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Let me call you. Yes. Hello. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I so I can't hear you. Can you hear me? And how do I do my so a show screen? So I go to show screen and share to show my this one right to my um, presentation. Is that how it works? How do I show? Can it? Is it possible to show both? Yeah. 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 No, I don't hear you. But you can hear me. Nope. Okay. Okay. No. Yeah. Now try speaking. I've put my volume really up. No. No. I I have a meeting in like 5 minutes. I have to leave. But if you can hear me, I think if you can hear me, then it's fine. I mean, when I come on online, I'll WhatsApp you that I'm about to come online. You send me this, I'll come on this link and I'll start talking something. Yeah. Okay. Uh, I'll be about 1:30 or 2 Bahrain time, so it's 3 hours. So but maybe, yeah. Yeah. Sure, sure. All right, all right, all right. Thank you. All right, cool. All right, thank you. Bye bye. All right.
Все. Давай, вот мы тебя отправили.
Я же ему вот сейчас спросил, он же через этот говорит. Я же, блядь, говорил про что? Через Бошевский.
Вот этот?
Что синхронисты слышат.
Нет, хорошо. А он будет нас слышать?
Сейчас. Алло, что там нет? Ты просто никак не смотришь. Все хорошо, сейчас. Я же этому также отправил, нормально же.
Проверка связи. Роман, Богдан.
Слышишь?
Ну да, без проблем слышу.
Что-то через этот пытаюсь.
Я же это, радиомикрофон же отключил, вот это. Больше подключу.
Все, я потом вспомнил то, что...
Давай, давай.
Да, ничего,
А
слышно.
это, смотри, Нуркен, а вот здесь вот мы ссылку отправляем, вот он подключается, вот ты, как сказать, маленький квадратик в правом нижнем углу, да? А почему-то с ним на весь экран получается.
Не, вы просто переключаете. Вот с правой стороны и снизу стоит сейчас мое окошко и ваше, правильно? Там сколько окошек?
Нет, твое сейчас на весь экран, вот теперь не на весь экран.
Нет, ты можешь сам настроить. Нажми на свой экран.
А, там можно настроить, просто я...
Да, просто. Тач просто можно. Выбрать себе окошко. Нажимаешь на этот квадратик маленький аккаунтов. В самом главном экране высвечивается тот, который ты нажал.
Все, понятно. Все хорошо,
А,
спасибо.
давай.
Давай.
Все работает.